if the eradication of characters that have had relatively good build-up and character development up until now is something that you can really get behind, I'm sure you were quite pleased with the previous episode. But now, we get to move on from that, try to put it behind us. What will we see? We're getting back into the religious side of it. We spend quite a lot of time in Academy City with various warring factions. Let's see. Okay. Back at the school with such dire consequences. How can they go on? How can they complete the day without lunch? This is the true battle. Everything we've seen so far has just been leading up to this point. Send out scouting parties. They have been whittled down. Sacrifice yourself for the good of the class. Have they brought any money, though? He really takes his duty seriously. I don't think a spear is necessary. Granted, most of the people chasing him before haven't really had disciplinary measures in mind. She's not used to just daily running away from teachers kind of problems. You know, it's a good change of pace considering everything we've seen happen so far in this season. You know, some people do still have burdens and troubles of a rather trivial fashion. It also reminds me, as soon as I've finished watching this, I need to go make myself some lunch. And any particular reason why she's following him around like this, protecting him from everything? Hopefully he doesn't actually have to take any time off from teaching. Do they get sick pay? So she's received wind that he's coming after him. What, even after the... That and the conversation about his imagined breaker. All he wanted was a normal, calm life. Is anyone else going to be confused for assassins? Could have a worse bodyguard, I guess. Her weapons. I don't think he's cut out to be undercover. And this is a well-documented theory, of course. I agree. But I'm also not entirely surprised that this kind of conversation is being held. There's probably easier ways to, force them together. At least she saw what caused it to happen. Good thing they know not to overstay their welcome. Really taking advantage of that cushioning. Everyone that shows any sort of malice, enemy. Even if known on first name basis. Well, at least a name basis. Is she going to be a good bodyguard when she's unable to act properly? If she's too... It's gotten to the point where when she doesn't react, that's when he knows something is truly wrong. God damn it, Sphinx. That's a good way to undercut the tension. Use his back as a stairs. Looks like Index might forgive her. Well, bringing a whole bunch of food. And I guess someone to actually do housework. Just ignore her. Really getting straight down to business. Yeah, he spoke far too soon. Well, it looks like Sphinx is going to be relatively pleased for a while. It's not often that he gets a sight like this. Does she need a muzzle? The fact that Tolmuk doesn't get serious about anything until it's at the last minute, but this... Hold off on your... hold off on your being forceful and... She looked weird there, a bit off model. This is why you broke in? I mean, could you just check what ingredients you've got in the cupboards and what you bought? No, you can't have this one. It's not good enough. It needs to be better. Yeah. Trying to think about it. What was she cleaning it with? A landmine? I see. Maybe her attempts to do the worst job possible to not get asked again is causing a bit of an issue. Well, of course, that calls for a change of scene. Is her hair meant to be that long? To think that they could have had any choice. We've seen people rent out vans and the like, but no. A bike with a sidecar. Ah. Well, that's going to be part of a storyline. So we're just having a story in the underground world now. You were told. Which spans over quite an area. Hopefully they've got a few signs. Imagine a dead pixel up there. Having to replace one of those LCD screens. Yeah, to have all this underneath your feet is quite impressive. You can see why she's there. That's quite a few stamps. Just gonna have to Maybe one of the others instead. It's quite a good scenery. This is a place for relaxation. You know, if you're going to have a bath, do it properly. Abide by the rules. Okay, the flapping around. She heard something interesting there. Is she going to accidentally come out with something and inform more people about his memory loss? Someone call the lifeguard. I didn't mean it. This might be something that the frog doctor can't fix. What kind of... Would it be humid without any breeze running through? What's with that guy walking backwards? I feel like that might be a bit distracted. He did say that in a few days he's going to come down and take on Toma, but did we actually get a firm date? They can be relatively serious. They fall into a trap themselves. Well, she's not wrong. If you saw the movie or anything... There's been a few stories that apparently have not been passed on in the church. Yeah, having a distracted bodyguard in tow is... well, would be a cause of concern, but it makes for good viewing. Good thing that someone has actually picked out the... It's too quiet. And he's gone. Ah. Of course, just being able to use the shadow pocket. What kind of weapon would you call that? It's not going to stop her from trying. Although the It's not something he can just part with that easily. And even if he does have his arm removed... What's... Oh. I was actually expecting his arm to be gone. So has Aqua just done that and then left? Fizzle. Maybe focus it on not his entire body. And the Ex Machina of helping in this situation. Well, not entirely true, but not going to stop him from trying. Do you want it gift wrapped? Maybe a nice ribbon. You know, it's a lot easier to follow your commands if he's not underwater. That was some intense sound. Just how utterly powerless they were against him. What's the factor of his ability and power? A way around it. Like with the one who could... I can't remember. Was it something about a tongue? The guy that could only affect one factor about his weapon, his body, defense, attack at any one point. Does this Aqua have a limitation? You know, apart from being able to lift a bus-sized lance. It is good to see a little bit of the school, though. Even if it was just for lunch, or lack of. It really does paint a different picture from the last episode, doesn't it? I mean, sure, we still have people fighting for their lives and danger around every corner, but let's take a break with some home cooking. Maybe a little dip in a public bath. And I liked the idea of, yeah, we've got to have Misaki in here somewhere, but what would make sense? That's it. Use Gekta, the frog. That's a justification. If it's there as a prize, of course you would travel well out of her way. And by the end of this, how many people are going to be vying for Toma's affection? He is the protagonist, after all. You know, undeservedly, perhaps, getting the attention of so many. I do like how there are enemies in this where it's like, oh no, how's Toma going to face? And then you snap back to say, the previous episode with dark matter and realise, oh, Accelerator can think of like several hundred ways of dealing with this. But because of the vast power difference in the way that they actually handle situations or what they fight for, not everything has to be world-ending. You know, actually, saving the city every day would actually be a bit tiresome after a while. But now that we have washed off the sins of our past by taking a dip in a public pool, witnessing and possibly saving someone from drowning, there's a lot more episodes in the future, and if you enjoyed this one, let me know. You may not want to miss out on the big fight coming for Aqua of the Rear. What sort of information are we going to glean on his abilities, his past, his memories? Some things may become clearer, and others more muddied. But it should be fun. So get some rest. See you there. My patrons have somehow found themselves in the unlikely position of being my bodyguards, as much as that would probably hurt them. Mainly because, well, who would really want to be associated with me and or my channel? But thankfully, we don't have to fear religious persecution, so to the likes of Electricand, Arthea, Noku, Raywin, Kite, Sal, Shiwan, Mecha, Matt, Stinsfire, Girly, Saltytron Cardboard, Croyville, Dark Shadow 7899, Alvin Garcia, Santiago, and everyone else. No matter how many stamps we get, I don't think I'm quite ready to go to the baths just yet.